Getting towards the end, we'll try to make this helpful for some of the parents or even people trying to learn how to meditate. I know Amanda wanted us to ask you, and
I got you.
And I got to thank Mike and Amanda every time with Business Radio X hosting us. And she wants to learn some meditation tips.
Love it.
So Kevin's the one that I mean, there's no wrong way to meditate.
Agreed.
But the
100%.
first person that really made a difference in the way I meditated was Kevin. How would you explain to somebody who's listening and might want to learn how to meditate? Mm-hmm. And I was actually just talking to one of my buddies about this the other day, and he was saying, like, he was still in this terrible situation. He's like, but I meditate now. And I was like, right, you meditate for probably, 10, 20 minutes a day, but you're in that situation for 8 hours a day? The fuck you think is stronger? You know what I mean? It's like, first, you got to remove yourself from the situation. But second off, let's say somebody's trying to learn how to meditate or get into that space. How would you explain to somebody like that?
For sure. So, and actually, before I even start that, I'll just say a quick dispelling of misconception for everyone listening. When you say things like meditate, yeah, I would like to meditate, but it's difficult for me, or I can't stop my thoughts, or
it's
all
the most
those
common
things.
one. That's the most common one.
Common thoughts. So 2 things in this. 1, meditating is an exercise. That's it. If you do it 5 times and you don't feel like you have a command of it, you keep going with it. Just like hitting the gym. You're not going to squat once and be like, cool, I got strong legs forever.
Yeah,
right?
no.
It's like, it's a practice to develop those muscles. It's a practice to develop commanding your attention. And the other part of that is you will never stop thoughts. That's not how it works, right? There is a space. Like, thoughts are streams. They're a constant running torrent of energy, right? Just constantly flowing out of ideas. This is a whole nother topic. Sign up for my course if you want to know more, right? It's like they just run. When you're meditating, the whole point is you start tapping into the still spaces between thoughts. So you allow thoughts to do what they're designed to do. You're just shifting into a space where you're just being present with everything. And as you do that, that's where the notion of command comes in. You don't want to control thoughts or control your mind. You want everything to operate how it's designed to operate, because when you let things operate how they're designed to operate, they flow.
Synergy.
Period.
It ties back into what you were saying before, the command.
Exactly.
It's
like I'm going to sit down now and just observe things around me. I'm going to sit down now and just be present with my breath.
So just being present would be a simplified form of
that's exactly how you get
the concept.
Exactly. Like, and my definition of presence is to be fully engaged in the moment. And this is the action I show with. I go fully engaged in the moment. That's all it means to be present. So meditation is a way of exploring the notion of that in a dedicated exercise or modality. So there's a lot of different ways you can explore meditation, but if we're talking about just developing it, if you're not used to doing it, right? The simplicity of two ways we're doing it. We have a primary tool in our practice called heart consciousness, right? Which is a way of tapping into your senses and starting to shift into that space of meditative capacity.
You're more feeling than thinking.
Yeah, while being aware. Exactly. You shift out of thought, genuinely shift out of thought. If you practice it, you'll shift into a space where you literally won't hear a thought. And it's a funny thing because your mind will go, the idea of this is the funny part about it. Your mind will go, we're not thinking anything, but you won't even be thinking that. There's just going to be this awareness of this is different, but it won't be a thought that this is different. It's like, it's a really interesting thing to find a language to speak. Yeah, it really is. So a way that we get people there in this particular practice, and then I'll talk about some basics for meditation that aren't necessarily this primary tool. But in heart consciousness, we access it by what I call the conversion breath, which is simply a deep inhale through the nose where you breathe into your belly. So let's all do that together.
It's almost
now,
like
right?
before a squat.
Legit. Right, yeah. So breathe that in. And then when you exhale, it's a high sigh where the top of the throat meets the back of the nasal passage. And it'll sound like a... And let yourself fade out. You practice this? Okay, cool. Making sure you're with us. Okay, so let's do that again. A deep inhale through the nose. Then high sigh, fade out. And then one more time, deep breath in. Exhale out. And now just notice everything that you hear in this moment. Just be aware of everything that you hear. And then be aware of everything that you feel. The chair you're sitting on, your hands on the table, the clothes on your body, just be with that. And then be aware of everything you see. Just look around the room. Just notice different things, colors, textures, shapes, patterns, dimensions. And then close your eyes with it. And take another deep breath in. Fade out in that high sigh. And keeping your eyes closed, just notice everything you hear again. And then take another deep breath in. And fade out, high sigh. And then just slowly open your eyes. Just be with everything as it is.
That's trippy shit.
It's cool too, right? Like for anybody that's listening, like as thoughts come, you just let it come from one side and go out the other.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way
It
to
just
not
flows.
control it. Is like almost picture it as a physical object just going from one
Yep.
side to the
And
other.
you're just watching it like, noises, sounds, thoughts, feelings, cool. And you keep practicing that, and then you're gonna stay in this space where you'll literally be observing it all without any definition or label. So it won't be like, this is a microphone. It's gonna be like this, right? There won't be a story to it. And that space is where you start shifting beyond thought. And so just the practice of the conversion breath alone, right? Breathing in and letting it fade out. You find this space of relaxation that is accessible to all of us that we don't use enough, where it's like you just fade on the exhale. And just for that alone is a brief moment of like,
Yeah, just the breathing alone gets you
Because
into
you
that.
breathe autonomously, but when you focus on it, it's attention derived on something you could do on your own.
exactly.
So instead of thinking about thinking, you're thinking about breath.
Exactly. So then you're not thinking about your normal thoughts. You're thinking about something you just do.
Exactly. And then you're just observing, and then it goes beyond thought. And so like even witnessing your senses, it's like all of a sudden you're just listening to things. And you're just like
I felt like my hearing was for a
magnified,
second
right?
magnified.
Your
It's
sen- your
like I was on
senses step
mushrooms.
up.
Your senses, exactly.
Well, because when you do mushrooms, the reason why your senses are heightened is your default setting. That's what psychology actually calls it. It shuts off. So your default setting actually dulls your senses. And when that turns off, your senses actually get heightened.
Because you're the default setting of physical reality leads you to the default setting of the truth of your existence, which is spirit. Spirit pervades everything.
Right.
So, and that's what the heightened space is, because in that space, there's nothing in the way. It's literally just the full resonance of all things that you experience. It's really dope.